You're watching From the Heart with John Willard.
Hi friends, I'm John Willard, a National Association of Healthcare Assistants contributor, also known as the Gentleman Poet. My favorite word there is care. Friends, I'm going to share some bone-chilling truths. I'll share life lessons, life stories, seriousness of future, humor, and my favorite, resilience, and quotes like my favorite from this George Washington Carver quote: "How far you go in life depends on your being tender with the young, compassionate with the aged, sympathetic with the striving, tolerant of the weak and strong, because someday in your life you will be all of these." 2 years ago, I was on a bus. Across the aisle sat a boy, I guessed 8 years old. Each time I looked, he was staring at me. The fourth time I looked, he asked, "Are you an old man?" I replied, "Yes, an old man with life lessons." Satisfied, he found looking out the window more interesting. Friends, as I share bone-chilling truths, I'm not going to say much about me. I never saw much importance in me. If I have any worthy quality, it could be storytelling. My extreme interest in the resilience of others, like my friend Gene Sweet, a man who, after losing both legs, designed and built his own devices to drive his truck, worked in a shop, made products to sell. The very definition of resilience, and also others I know. My friends and family members that are now or were when alive NACA contributors. Their journey of life taught them the importance of caring, which in turn taught me, brought me here. My burning desire to share, to contribute, like I see our CNAs do every day, caring about others, the ability to go beyond oneself, like I have seen NACA do for years. A lady NACA contributor whose picture I have over both my desk, and others I'll share in future shows like Nagipur and many others. Friends, have you ever had so much to share you thought you would just burst if you couldn't say it? Like when you were a child and taught never to interrupt when the adults were speaking. At the dinner table, you wanted to ask for the strawberry shortcake, but Aunt Helen wouldn't zip it up. So you sat there acting like you were enjoying the turnips Mom put on your plate and thinking, how does Aunt Helen eat, breathe, and talk continually? And realizing you may be witnessing something that's never happened before. I was given a time limit. Well, being from the Missouri Ozarks, we savor each word as if we were eating fried green tomatoes and don't want it to end. Let me tell you a little about Nagipur. First memories watching his mom beat viciously Age 8, Nagi started getting beatings. Nagi worked hard on the farm, milked cows, hurried to catch the school bus. He asked if he could work for other farmers and was told if he could keep his chores up. He kept up, hauled hay for other farmers, picked blackberries, sold to the local grocer who let Nagi sack groceries after school, which meant he walked 2 miles home, did the chores, and repeated the process every day while the beatings continued. Running from home time after time, sleeping in phone booths, temporary refuge with schoolmates, who later drove Nagi 200 miles to an aunt's where he walked the city, soles of his shoes worn through, hot asphalt burning his feet, in every door asking for work. An alcoholic station manager worked him 4 weeks with no pay. Then his aunt said he could no longer stay there. What do you give his chances here? Nagi loved poetry as I do, so maybe this poem is appropriate. There are thousands to tell you it cannot be done. There are thousands to prophesy failure. There are thousands to point out to you, one by one, the dangers that wait to assail you. But just buckle in with a bit of a grin. Just take off your coat and go to it. Just start to sing as you tackle the thing that cannot be done, and you'll do it. Which brings me to Nagi's business card. There's 7 businesses on this card, 3 franchise motels, a Tasty Freeze drive-through restaurant, a Conoco gas station, a pizza restaurant, and a home building company. And Nagi wasn't happy. He had 3 more businesses that he wanted to put on this card. They wouldn't fit, and Nagi didn't want to buy more cards. Friends, remember I said I was impressed with resilience, like NACA, like CNAs? Nagi told me the most important things in life aren't things. It's relationships. It's doing for others. It's making more of life than oneself. I personally saw one of Nagi's financial statements that showed several million. First, in construction, lost when interest rates went to 17%. Then, in the motel business, lost in the '08 downturn, market crash. And when he had nothing, and he was told of an older widow lady, ill, in a trailer, when it rained she had to move to the other side of the trailer to stay dry. Nagi scraped together some money for her. This reminds me of another George Washington Carver quote. No individual has any right to come into this world and go out of it without leaving something behind. Care, like CNAs, like NACA. Nagi loved the story of Seabiscuit. A famous racehorse, sold cheap several times, labeled that he was too little, his legs were too short. But with the last owner, Seabiscuit won, and he won, and he won. And the last owner said, "It's not the legs, it's what's here." like on the CNA cup. Reminds me of Mudge, a dog I knew. Friends, after all this, do you think Noggy found humor? Oh yes. When his gummy bear vitamins got to the floor before they did his mouth, he laughed. When he saw a man he knew whose last name was Measure, he chuckled. Why wasn't his first name Tape? One of the few times he could hold a straight face. He loved telling when he was on a bucking horse, and he was just sure he'd be killed. He waited till someone asked, "What happened?" He replied, "The manager of Walmart came out there and unplugged that thing." His life made him reminisce of good life and ill. And to show where to put the emphasis, he had this poem. This world that we're a-living in is mighty hard to beat. You get a thorn with every rose, but ain't the roses sweet? And he had this poem. When he would see CNAs and residents exchange smiles, it reminded him of this poem. Smile a little as you go along, not alone when life is pleasant, but when things go wrong. Care delights to see you frowning, loves to hear you sigh. Turn a smiling face upon her. Quick the dame will fly. Smile a little all along the road. Every life must have its burden, every heart its load. Why sit down in gloom and darkness with your grief to sup? As you drink fate's bitter tonic, smile across the cup. Though you meet with loss and sorrow in the passing years, smile a little, even through your tears. Friends, I'm out of time. In future shows, I want to talk about grief therapy and more about resilience. Now remember, Noggy always said, when you are good to others, you are best to yourself. You can reach me at jwillard@nacacna.org. And if you want me to come to your event, well, my dogs, Cora, Hank, and Bubba, eat lots of dog biscuits, so it probably wouldn't work out. Remember, it's not what we gain, but what we give that measures the worth of the life we live. Until next time, friends.